Hi guys, very welcome back to the show. And I was just talking to my guest today, Mr. Carl LeDuc, about this is his first appearance on a European podcast. So we're making history here tonight. Carl, as you know, has had an illustrious career. A lot of the time based in Canada, did make some appearances for the WWF as well, which the fans will be interested in listening to, and some of the good names that you fought there. But we're actually going to start off somewhere topical and something we were talking about off camera. TNA Slammiversary a couple of weeks back. You've got some insight maybe that the fans don't know about it, so we'd love to hear it.
But first of all, I want to say thank you for the invitation there, Maurice. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be on your podcast today, and hopefully we'll be making this interesting for your listeners and your fans out there. And for the people that don't know me or people that know me, my name is Carl LeDuc. I'm the Quebec wrestling terrorist out of Canada, and I'm the size that hurt. And I'm a second generation pro wrestler from the LeDuc family. They used to be the French Canadian lumberjack, Paul and Joe LeDuc. What's up, Island?
Very nice introduction there, Carl. We were just talking about Slammiversary, and we were talking about PCO and the massive success that it was. Do you want to kind of let the fans know a little insight into how you were involved in all this?
Yes, but first of all, I know PCO for many years, and I got a lot of respect because when he reinvented himself and did his biggest comeback in 2018 in the world of pro wrestling, and then recreate himself as with his longtime friend Michel Ward as D Destro, and then they came up with the gimmick Frankenstein, and then he signed a huge contract with ROH, and then he became the world heavyweight champion of that company at that time. And as soon as he got that belt and he landed in Montreal, he went straight from the airport to go visit my dad. My dad's a legend in Canada and some part in the United States. And my dad, Paul LeDuc, did a lot with his partner, Joe LeDuc, in Canada and our province of Quebec. And he had that respect. So he landed to Montreal, brought the belt, brought some t-shirt, and visit my dad at his retirement home. So that was nice from him. And also, 6 months before that, he signed with ROH. He had to drop all his indie bookings, but he only kept one, and it was my promotion, the FLQ Wrestling, that he kept, and it was his last appearance before he went back to the major, and at that time was ROH. So when I find out in last April, that TNA Slammiversary is going to be in my hometown, Montreal, I gave a call and I wrote and I gave him a call afterwards to PCO. It was about in May of 14, and I said, I want to join you. I want to help you out to sell that building. And a lot of people didn't believe that we will be able to sell out that building, because originally the setup, it's important to say that the setup was made for only 2,000 people for a sellout. But he had in mind to fill up the arena at 4,000 people. His company and a lot of people, even in Montreal, Canada, had doubt in him and everything, and they were laughing and they would say it's going to be impossible. Just stick with 2,000 people. But when PCO got something in mind, he set up some goals, and he's going to do anything that's possible to achieve it. So we met in a coffee shop actually on the South Shore of Montreal. We did a brief meeting. We set up a freestyle plan, and then we went from there. And the work that was be done to be able to sell out that place was, some days we stay up until 24 to 32 hours at a time just to answer, just to promote, just to figure what's going to happen and just sell those tickets. We sold so many tickets to one by one. We started with one person and then became a group of 10, 30, 40, 50. We drove each other separately in our cars to go meet the fans at their door, deliver those tickets, take those pictures, make them feel important. And that was a daily base that we did. And then And at one point, we had some days that we were super down because, man, the sale is not going up. We're not going up, but we're probably doing something good that's going to explode. So, of course, like when the event was approaching, the number kept increasing until the company gave us the green light, saying that it's going to be we're gonna go all out, and we're gonna do the 4,000 people, man. We believe in you now. And I just want to set the record straight also. I don't have any contract with TNA. I'm just a good friend of PCO, a second generation that was looking to help him out, and just because I was born in the business. And when I see somebody that got that drive at his age and still do the things that he does, I said, why not, man? I want to be part of that success, and that became a success. And afterward, we create a buzz on social media. So wrestling website that usually don't talk about the product was starting to talk about the products, and that created a big buzz on the social media across the wrestling globe.
Yeah.
And afterwards, we find out the week after that it was the biggest buy pay-per-view on the channel TNA Plus. And for anybody out there who's looking for alternative and who wants to see some good wrestling, I suggest you to subscribe to the TNA Plus. And you can find the subscription on TNAWrestling.com.
Mm. Sounds like a major success. Actually, TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth, known as Dolph Ziggler in WWE,
Yes.
is actually coming to Ireland next Saturday night for a massive independent show here, and it's sold 2,200 tickets so far. So wrestling is pretty big in Ireland at the moment for such a small country. But
I
he's coming in.
already, I already knows that in Europe, it's a big place for wrestling, and a lot of people, a lot of my colleagues who looking to get their name out there, I always tell them at first, you're not known, so put your name out there and buy your first plane ticket to cross overseas, make connection with promotion, make yourself a name out there, and maybe on your next tour they'll be paying and they'll see it's worth to buy your plane ticket. But at first, when you start in the wrestling business, you got to invest in yourself. You know, you had like Speedball Mike Bailey. You think they didn't invest and believe in himself?
He's
The time
also he's also coming next week as well, Carl.
that would be great. He's a great guy, a great wrestler, um, a great human being, and you know what? Each time that he step into the ring, he's gonna give his 100%. He's gonna go full force, and you're not gonna be disappointed. If nobody don't know Speedball yet, please buy your ticket. If you didn't do it, go see that show in Ireland, because I promise you, he's going to be one of a hell of a match, and probably one of the best on the card, alongside with PCO.
Hmm. TNA, like as a brand right now, has got some very good credibility. I think since the new takeover, and they're kind of somewhat merged now with WWE, and they're able to work together in some capacity. Do you think that TNA seems like a lot more of a serious wrestling organization than we'll say the likes of
But
AEW? The bad press
they've
they get.
they've been around for like what, 20 plus year now.
Yeah,
And this year, the president, like some people left the company, and people thought the company is gonna die and is
yeah.
gonna go down, but it did like kind of a reverse effect, and the people gathered back. All I saw it from my eyes. I'm not
Mm,
there on a daily basis, but I'm gonna report what I saw on my weekend when I was backstage and I was studying those people and I watching them. The implication, they all come together. They're a team, and they decide to restructure themselves and get together and prove wrong to the people, and that's a good product right now. Of course,
yeah,
people's gonna say I'm biased because uh, I was kind of involved in that Slammiversary 20, but let's remember, Slammiversary 20 was the biggest attendance gates since they're in business, TNA, and also what PCO said, also bringing back those three letters TNA, that help out also,
yeah,
to because TNA at one point was really popular when you had those AJ style, and when you had a brief stink of Hogan and all those guys, Russo and company there. Uh, and then after that, it kind of went down, and then now it's coming back up. I think that people want wrestling. I think like we're in a boom of towards wrestling fans because wrestling it's kind of a cycle. That's what Owen Hart explained me. You'll see a cycle of 5 or 7 good years going up, and then it's gonna go slow down, and go back up again, and then slowing back down. But now we're climbing the hill, and the wrestling doesn't seem the cycle doesn't want to go away, and it keeps growing, keep growing. And also, I can tell you this: every wrestler that's part of TNA they're proud. They're really proud to be part of that organization, and they give the best matches out there. A lot of people who came in Montreal to see that show. We had people from the States, across Canada, and we had a couple people who did that trip from Europe, and a lot of people who witnessed Slammiversary live. That was their first time that they've been going to a TNA event, and after that, the comments on those was like, wow. Even if they didn't know everybody or all the storyline because it's a brand new product to their eyes, even if TNA has been existing for over 20 years, for them that was their first time, their first bite. And let me tell you something, they all enjoy it, they liked it, and they want some more. And now I think that it's helping out on the subscriptions. And if anybody wants to subscribe and watch the product for a cheap price on the platform of TNA Plus, they can always go on TNAWrestling.com and subscribe for a cheap amount of price and get the product on a weekly basis, including the pay-per-views.
Mm. And it certainly seems to be. TNA is definitely one to keep an eye on at the moment because it's definitely on the up, but wrestling in general seems to be on that upward trajectory at the moment.
Yeah, and also they got a partnership with WWE, that especially with NXT.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Some people see some good and some bad, but you gotta understand also TNA. It's a place to get yourself seen, and it's everybody's dream, or a lot of people that didn't got that chance. Their goal is to get to the top with the biggest promotion. So for them, it's pretty nice that the WWE's got a direct eyes on them. And again, that's my personal thoughts. It's nobody else but me talking about this right now. And let me tell you guys, it's fantastic. Look, you got a guy from your corner there, Joe Hendry. You know, he paid his dues in Europe and went all in England, Scotland, Ireland, all those places, Germany and everything, create a gimmick, got approached by TNA. It worked. It went viral until one point that now he started training at the NXT Performance Center, and hopefully that he's going to achieve his goal and become a millionaire of this business because he's putting the work. And I think it's an interesting gimmick. A lot of people is going to say he's going to be the flavor of the month, but I think that this guy is smart, he's dedicated, he's hungry. So I think that flavor is going to last for years, and people are going to keep jumping in the bandwagon of Joe Hendry and will believe in him, and then going to go all for him.
Yeah, I found it nice as well when he appears on WWE TV. They show the TNA graphic, to say that this guy is a TNA wrestler.
And really if you notice, they start slowly, bits by bits, to find out what's going to be the reaction, and week after week, his presence is getting increased. Until the fan wants him, he's going to get more exposure, and that's the only thing that could be good for him. This guy's I saw him backstage, and he's a calm person. He studied, he listened to every producer or agent, any comments that can come and could be good, and he keep what's good for him. And then he kept what's not good, probably put it on the side. But once again, that's from my observation and my experience. The guy is dedicated, he's focused, and he's hungry.
Let's talk about yourself. Yes. I know we we kind of got carried away there, but
No
it's an exciting
problem.
time. It's an exciting time for wrestling. So obviously wrestling is in your blood, but for people that may not be aware of that, do you want to tell us how you decided to become a pro wrestler and some of
Uh,
your training?
my wrestling uncle was the French Canadian Joe LeDuc that became a single major star in the 80s, especially in Memphis territory against Jerry the King Lawler and all those big name out there. And when Joe LeDuc, and then my father was Paul LeDuc. Um, and then they became tag team partners of French Canadian Lumberjack. And when I was 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, I used to go at the shopping center with my dad, and I saw people stopping him and asking him autograph and everything. And then I was impressed and amazed with that. And I said, one day I'll probably want to be a pro wrestler. And how did it started? I started backwards. I started on the top, and then I went back down on the first step. I was on the highest step with the WWE. I did a few appearances, like you said. I wrestled some guys out there. I had some victory, but like GBL said once on a podcast, I was not even ready, and it was unfortunate that the company or I was put at that position because I didn't know how to wrestle at that time. People didn't know. Probably people didn't know that I didn't know how to wrestle, but but in the 90s, they still need local people to attract people to the crowd. Now the product is so worldwide, they can put anybody from the world and then set up into a town, and that could be a hit, and they'll pack up the place without necessarily using local talents, right? So
Yeah.
they still need it. I didn't know how to wrestle, and I have a lot of eat backstage and everything, and it was unpleasant for me. I didn't like my experience, but that was, when you got the call up and you're second generation, it's your dream, it's your dad's dream and everything. You're not gonna say no. And then from there, by accepting going doing those shows and having a lot of hard time backstage, um, that's when I met Owen Hart. And Owen, the late Owen Hart, brought me. He said, "Do you want a 6 month or a 25-year career and everything? Because right now, no place for you. But if you stick around, your career can be done or vanish, and then that'll be it for you." So he's the one who set me up at his dad's house, the Hart House. I lived with
Yeah.
the family for a few years, and I got trained by Bruce Hart. And unfortunately, I left, and after my training, because I was not trained, I went to get some training, and then I went back to get some exposure on indie circuit in the United States and everything. And then the family called me back because of the funeral, and I came back, and then we had the Stampede Wrestling. The territory was open up again, and they asked me to stay. And when I left, uh, uh, a new person took my spot, right? So he became kind of the new king, and I was the old king. So when I came back, he told me, "I'm the new king. I'm not going to let my spot back to you." So one night, we had to wrestle each other, and I said, "Listen, my friend, let's protect ourselves in the ring. And afterwards, if you got any problem, we're going to deal it like the old fashioned way. But we're going to lock ourselves up in the locker room, let everybody out, and we're going to go at it. And the first person is going to leave that locker room is going to be staying in that territory, and the other ones will have to leave, right?" So I do a spot after monkey flip there. On the second monkey flip, he's got to cut me off. So he's got to push me off, and then me, I'm going to flip over the turn, over the post, over
Yeah.
the top rope, the post. And I'm going to land on my back. It was a big bump. That day, some Japan people were there to recruit, because when you associate yourself and when you're part of one of the best wrestling school at that time was the Heart Dungeon,
Yeah.
uh, like managed by Stu under the name of Stu Hart. You got a lot of eyes on you, and you got some people who's gonna give you a chance, and some people from Japan that came in and watched the show. So I said, "Let me do my stunt. Let's protect each other, and we'll solve the problem later." He said, "Yeah, no problem." But at the end, you got to be in control. The person who's taking the bump has got to always be in control of his bump to avoid injury. And the guy
Yeah.
who just push or just kind of a model or just there to help out the guy just to give him a push so the guy can do the rest. The guy who's flying up in the air and everything. And
Yeah.
then I was up in the air. He caught back my feet and then pushed me down. So I probably fell about between 15 and 20 feet off the air, straight to the cement. And my body all twisted and I broke in my leg. And after that, I had to recuperate and then try to make a comeback. And then in 2001, Mr. Hart, because I had a privilege to take a cup of tea with him every night in the kitchen when people were sleeping, and I was just absorbing and getting that sponge from him. And then he told me, "You're ready, and we'll go, and I can make a call to the office for you, so you can go back and everything." But you know what? What my first time backstage with WWE was not that great, and then what? And after with that severe injury and everything, I fall in love by teaching pro wrestling, and then became kind of a help to Bruce and Ross that at that time was running the camp and everything, and I started helping out people, and then I prefer to be more backstage than to be in front of the camera and helping people who got that desire to make it. Since I had a bad taste, I said, man, I'm going to try to change that situation and become a star maker, or just helping out people, give you advice and everything. And I got few people under my belt that today who had a career who until today who's working in the WWE or any major company around the world. So but again, you're working in the shadow, away from the public eyes. A lot of people probably don't know you, but
Mm.
the work for a person to shine in front of the camera, we need those kind of people. They're really important, but people don't notice them. So that's why I'm happy to come on your podcast and that you give me that exposure so I can try to explain how it works a little bit for your audience.
Yeah. Um, so when I was looking through your match database, it said like you made your professional wrestling debut in 1995. Now it could have probably been before that, but
Again,
it's
another thing. I started with the wrestling school, which the Mountie Jacques Rougeau, and that was a bad experience. Also, again, it's like I paid up my tuition to the camp. He never trained me a day. So I had to self learn and got trained. And after I had that call up in '96 for WWF, and that's when I met Owen. And Owen gave me the biggest advice. You're gonna have a lot of wrestling school out there. A lot is gonna be some con con artists like running wrestling school, and some of them is gonna be legit, right? And the way that you're gonna find that out is you pay. Don't pay your full tuition right away. Pay them monthly and pay until that you learn. And the day that you stop learning, that's time for you to go from that place and try to get yourself to another place so you can keep growing as a wrestler.
yeah. So how did the WWF call up happen then? What way did that work, or who contacted
Because like I said before previously,
you? Mm.
my family was known
Yeah.
in the business and everything. And when you're second generation, yes, it's going to help you to open some doors and get some eyes on you.
Mm.
But like the con out of it is you have so much pressure because you got to fill up the shoes of guy like my wrestling uncle Joe LeDuc
Yeah.
or my dad Paul LeDuc, and it was big shoes to fill and everything. And like I said, I didn't learn nothing. I didn't know how to wrestle. I
Yeah.
didn't do
Weren't ready.
anything. I was not even ready, but the call was there. So I accepted and I went there. And then that's when I met Owen, and Owen kind of changed the aspect of me seeing the business, and I learned it so much. And I had a stink with Rikishi. Back then was the Sultan.
Yes.
I was receiving beating every night. I was super angry at him, and I was super angry with the business, with the wrestling. And then what happened is one day I understood because he gave me one advice. He said, "You're not ready. Uh, I'll give you advice. and you accept any advice from anybody. It could be the president of a country, it could be a fan, it could be a guy in the business who got experience. You take all those advice in, and you decide to choose which one's going to fit for you, and you try it. If it works, you keep it, and the rest you shut your mouth. The advice you're not taking, and just put it on the side uh, in a basket, and that's it. And shake the person's hand. But I didn't understood what that mean at that time. I was so angry, and of course back then. The way the backstage was running was really, really different. If you didn't know how to work, uh, you're not supposed to be there. They'll make you notice that you're not part of that group. You don't deserve to be there, and it's going to be a hard time for you. And it was so. But today, I understand it more. So that's why I try to preach to the people some aspect of the wrestling business. Just like example, after that, I decided to not go back in 2001 in the WWE. I decided to stay as a trainer, and then I went to help out one of Bruce's brother in Cambridge. That he opened a Hot Brother Wrestling School in Cambridge. With and then Scotty D'Amore
Yeah.
was the head coach there. And when I arrived, he had to go away to do his own personal thing in his business. So I kind of replaced him and everything. And the first person who came up and as a student was Eric Young. Eric Young back then was 17 years old. He had a dream to become a pro wrestler. But a lot of people is going to subscribe in wrestling camp by thinking it's going to be easy, just like video games. But they don't want to put effort. So I noticed this guy wanted so much. One day he said, Carl, can I show you some tapes? So we drove about an hour and a half from the wrestling school to his mom's house, and he started showing me those trampoline, scaffolding wrestling match. And he thought I was going to laugh at it. But me, I didn't laugh at it at all. What I saw is some potential. So when we went back to the school, that's when I put some more dedication towards him and try to give him the good things so he can have a good start. And after that, you went to see some other people. And now what? It's over 25, close to 25 years that he's making a full living with pro wrestling. So I'm kind of proud of that achievement. Another one that I helped was Rory McAllister from Scotland. Another
Oh
one
yeah.
who's got a dream. He had a dream and he came to that wrestling school. And then
He's a lovely guy.
yeah. And at first, when he came, you probably never thought he was going to make it one day. He will have a good run and became World Tag Team Champion. But
Hmm.
man, he didn't listen to nobody people that laughed. He focused on his goal, got himself a partner, got a call, and had a career, and have a nice run for the year that he lasts in the WWF. And he can scratch on his bucket list. I was part of the I was part with one of the biggest company, because when you're a little kid, your dream is to land in WWE, and he did it. So we can't take nothing away from that guy either, man.
Yeah, I had him. I had him on the show. He's an absolute gentleman as well. Just to put that out there.
He is,
Yeah.
and also no bullshit with this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna say straight up what he thinks, and no politics. Is gonna be straight up. If you want to know something, if don't be surprised. Like if you don't think you like the answer, don't ask the question. Because
Yeah.
he's gonna call it like it is.
Yeah. One of the fans on social media, when I had put up that you were going to be coming on the show,
Mhm.
one of the questions was, well, it said, did you work with Aldo Montoya one time in
Yes, I
which
did
was
work with Aldo Montoya and everything,
which
but
was just incredible. What was he like?
yeah,
I just wanted to know.
man. Uh, another they gave me another victory. I was not even ready once again, and a lot of boys was mad backstage because I was taking the place of somebody. Because
Hmm.
when you travel, it's a small group and everything. you make friends with people, you make some acquaintance, and then you develop some habit, you know. And then when you see one of your fellows leaving for a guy that doesn't know how to work, then that could become a problem, right? But Aldo was a nice guy, and I remember Owen once again. He went backstage, and before my match, he said, "Don't try to rib him or screw him in the match. We know that he's not ready, but remember where you started, because he did some training with at the heart." At the dungeon at one point of his when he started at one time of his life in Calgary. So you just said, remember where you came from and help out that kid to look good, and that's what he did. Aldo Montoya, like, make me, like, in front of my own people, make me look good, give me a nice victory, and that was one of my best match when I was out there.
Nice, nice, positive stories. I like to hear about people as
Yeah, that
well.
was positive. Another positive also, like, in front of there, you know, a lot of things was said on GBL and everything, but
Mm,
GBL back then, it was Justin Hawk Bradshaw, and his manager was Dutch Mental, right? But
yeah,
Dutch Mental was a little bit more mad because GBL had to put me over and stuff like that. But GBL understood the business, and he knew he was going to be there for a long run, right? And he became the world heavyweight champion of that company, you know. So at one point, because we got, like, Quebec, it's a province that wants to separate from the rest of Canada, you know. And then we try to get his independency from Canada and separate from the Queen and blah blah blah. So I was wrestling in some English part of Canada, and then I'm supposed to be the baby face, right? And
mm,
he's supposed to be the heel. But me, I come out with my lumberjack suit, and I got those Quebec emblem flag on me and everything. So right away, we were just coming out from that sorry, how do you say that? Referendum. Sorry for my English. I'm French.
yeah, yeah.
Referendum in '95, and it was in '96. So people, and then the Canada won it by a few percentage, you know, and then Quebec lost the referendum, and lost the chance to become his own country, right? So a lot of people, Anglophone, was super mad out there, and everything was booing me, and I was supposed to be the baby face. So as a professional in the ring, he turned the script around, he flipped it around, and at one point people start cheering for me, and he was getting booed like he was supposed to do. So yes, he was professional with me in the ring, though. Yeah, I got to say that also. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
So are you still wrestling these days? Because you were listed for a match this year.
yeah. I wrestle time to time, but remember, when you come from the hard dungeon, and 20 years ago, the independent was not developed as much as it was like today. So it
Yeah.
was really hard to wrestle against people who had, like, probably the same potential or the same understanding about the business, you know. Because at my time, 20 years ago, the independent was a lot of backyard wrestling, you know. And so that's why I was discouraged. Decided to say, you know what, I want to become a producer. So I opened up a wrestling, FLQ wrestling with my dad, and we help out to produce. And I was more like aspect of teaching the people behind scene to be better. So, you know, wrestling brought me that role, and I'm really proud of it. And yeah, and time to time, I'll accept to wrestle if the opportunity is right and it's good for me. Because at first now I got a family, I got a pretty good job with an airline, so that's what's more important. And then but I'm always open, and I always teach people. You know, a lot of people send me tapes for reviews and stuff like that. And if one of your listeners wants to become a professional wrestler, wants to know what's all about, they can always send me a request and send me some match, and we can try to do some business, you know. But yes, my last match was at Slammiversary, because PCO said it was really important to have a battle royal for the people who doesn't have the chance, or didn't ever had a chance to have an experience with a professional organization, you know.
Hmm.
So he created a battle royal of 20 people from my hometown, just so for them to can get exposure from the office. So that was my last match that I did wrestle there. It was 2 weeks ago.
Mm. Yeah, that's that just goes to show the testament of the guy as well, looking out for people. You know.
No, he is. He is, man. Because in the wrestling business, we all got egos,
Mm.
and you need to have ego in the wrestling business, but you need how to deal with your ego. And he kind of know how to deal with his ego. And if you see, and he's always willing to help out people, and that's what he did. Because a lot of people, they're pretty good wrestlers, but will never add the chance to have that experience, and that was really important for him because he never forgot where he came from, because he started with those guys many years ago. And then today is just to say thank you. And also what he did, he organized like a nice press box for the old timers, because the old timers are out, you know, on the spotlight, for many years. And after when the spotlight disappear, they get putting away, and it's a hard feeling for them, because they've been cheer all their life, and then suddenly nothing's happening for them. So what he did is contacted each of one of them that he went through his path or that he met in the past, and organized like a VIP night for them and a nice press box. And then yeah, that was nice. And also the battle royal was dedicated to my dad, and just so you can have a last round of applaud. And that was not even, and that was before the pre-show and the pay-per-view. It was something independently, but attach it to Slammiversary. So that
Yeah.
was super nice for him to go to war for that and to make it that happen. And for the company accepting that also, because that was a big night. People came at 5 p.m. and they left the building at midnight with the pay-per-view, with everything was going on out there. It was like a long night for the people, and the people stuck around and they enjoyed their night.
Yeah. I see on your Facebook page you've got a virtual signing coming up soon as well. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, it's gonna be on August 4th. It's gonna be with live wrestling auction. It's gonna be signed couple pictures and everything, and then we're gonna be selling some axes. There's a few product from the lumberjack gimmick that's going to be offered to the people. And my outfit from Slammiversary, it's up for grab. And we already got some people that manifest themselves to buy that outfit. So and everything that we will be raising that day, we'll give it to my dad. Like so live auction, live wrestling auction. Decided just to get his cost back and get everything from my dad, because the owner of Live Wrestling Auction, um, his wrestling name was Firestorm, and he started with FLQ like when we opened up like 24 years ago, and just out of respect for him to be able to perform on a weekly basis with FLQ Wrestling back in those days when he was an active wrestler. He just decided to give it back to my dad, and I think that was a nice gesture for him. And
Awesome.
if anybody wants to find out, he's one of the best in North America, and he's respected from the wrestlers and the ex wrestlers. And inviting you to go visit his website page, his Facebook page, pardon me, at Live Wrestling Auction. And after my signing, he's going to have in October, he's going to have Adam Bomb, and go see what he does.
He's
He
great.
does terrific thing. And then before Slammiversary, he had PCO with his first partner in the wrestling business, Nelson Veyer. That's another guy who traveled the world with PCO and everything. But at one point, he chose his family. It's not because he didn't have any talent. He just decided to choose his family back then, and PCO decided to continue by himself, because it's a lot of sacrifice when you get into this wrestling business,
Hmm.
and you need like a family that's going to believe in you, supporting you. But a lot of people go through divorce because they're not there, they're missing important dates. That's why my dad decided to retire earlier, just to be with his family. As soon as he started having kids, he decided to stay with his with my mom, and raise us and be part of our life.
Yeah, that's also very important. Look, Carl, I really want to thank you for today. We should do this again sometime again and go into more stuff in more detail.
Oh, I
But
got plenty backstage story. I know that time was limited and everything, but for my first experience with you, Maurice, I want to say thank you to you, and I hope that your fans, your audience, and the people who will be watching this will enjoy themselves. And I'm wishing a great night for you guys. It's early in the morning, I guess. For us, it's in the afternoon. It's gonna be supper time for us. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for having me. And for the people that don't know me, who knows me, my name is Carl Excel LeDuc. I'm the Quebec wrestling terrorist of Canada, the size that hurts.